Alien encounters, real stories, the world can't explain. There are moments in human history that refuse to be explained. Moments that exist in the shadows between science and mystery, between reality and imagination, between what we know and what we are not yet ready to understand. For centuries, people across the world have reported strange encounters, lights in the sky moving in impossible ways, objects defying physics, encounters that leave witnesses confused, sometimes terrified, and often changed forever. These are not just stories, they are patterns. And in recent years, something extraordinary has happened. The conversation has changed. What was once dismissed is now being studied. What was once hidden is now being acknowledged. Even institutions like the Pentagon have publicly confirmed the investigation of unidentified aerial phenomena, often referred to as UAPs. This is no longer just a topic for science fiction. It has entered the realm of official inquiry. But before we explore modern revelations, we must go back, because the mystery did not begin today. It has been with us for a very long time. Throughout history, civilizations have described strange objects in the sky. Ancient texts, artwork, and oral traditions all contain references to unexplained aerial phenomena. In some cultures, they were seen as divine signs. In others, as omens. And in many cases, they were simply recorded, without explanation. Fast forward to the modern era. The 20th century marked a turning point. With the rise of aviation and radar technology, humanity gained new tools to observe the skies. And with those tools came new encounters. Pilots, trained observers, began reporting objects that moved at incredible speeds. Objects that changed direction instantly. Objects that showed no visible means of propulsion. These were not random observers. These were professionals, and their testimonies carried weight. Over time, reports accumulated. Governments began to take notice. Investigations were launched, data was collected, reports were analyzed. Some explanations were found, but many were not. And this is where the mystery deepens. Because the unexplained does not simply disappear. It lingers. It challenges our understanding. It pushes the boundaries of what we consider possible. In recent years, official reports released by agencies connected to the Pentagon have acknowledged the existence of aerial phenomena that cannot be easily explained with current technology. These objects have been observed by military personnel, tracked on radar, captured on infrared cameras, and analyzed by experts. Yet, despite all this, their origin remains unknown. This does not mean they are extraterrestrial, but it does mean they are unexplained. And that distinction is important, because in science, the unknown is not a conclusion. It is a starting point. Now consider this. Highly trained pilots have described encounters with objects that outmaneuver advanced aircraft, objects that accelerate beyond known limits, objects that appear and disappear. These encounters are not isolated. They are documented, they are investigated, and they are taken seriously. This raises a fundamental question. If these objects are not from known human technology, then what are they? Are they experimental systems? Natural phenomena we do not yet understand? Or something else entirely? The truth is, we do not yet know. But the search for answers has begun. Organizations within governments, including departments linked to the Pentagon, have established programs to study these phenomena. Their goal is not to prove alien existence. Their goal is to understand what is being observed, to analyze data, to eliminate known explanations, and to identify potential risks. Because anything operating in controlled airspace, without clear identification, is a matter of concern. This is not just about curiosity. It is about security, and it is about knowledge. At the same time, space agencies like NASA have also taken an interest in studying unidentified aerial phenomena from a scientific perspective. Their approach is different. It is focused on data, observation, and analysis. They aim to remove speculation and focus on evidence. This shift marks an important moment in human history. For the first time, the unknown is being approached not with dismissal, but with investigation. But beyond official reports and scientific studies, there are the stories, the personal accounts, the encounters that cannot be easily categorized. Stories from ordinary people in ordinary places who witnessed something extraordinary. A farmer who saw lights hovering silently above his fields. A pilot who encountered an object that followed his aircraft, then vanished. A group of individuals who witnessed a craft descending only to disappear moments later. These stories vary in detail, but they share something in common: a sense of confusion, a sense of wonder, and often a sense of fear. Because encountering the unknown is not always comforting, it challenges our sense of reality. It forces us to question what we believe, and it reminds us that there is still much we do not understand. But perhaps that is the most important part of this story. The unknown is not something to fear. It is something to explore. Because every discovery in human history began with a question, and every question begins with uncertainty. So as we begin this journey into the world of alien encounters, we do not start with answers. We start with curiosity, with open minds, and with a willingness to explore the unexplained. Because somewhere between the stars above and the stories below, there may be truths waiting to be discovered. And this is only the beginning. The sky has always been a place of mystery. For centuries, humans looked upward with wonder. But in the modern age, we began to look with instruments, with radar, with technology that could track, measure, and record. And that is when the mystery began to change. Because when something unknown appears not just to the eye, but on multiple systems at once, it becomes harder to ignore. In recent decades, several encounters have stood out, not because they prove anything extraordinary, but because they remain unexplained even after serious investigation. One of the most discussed types of encounters involves trained military pilots. These are individuals who understand the sky better than most. They are trained to identify aircraft, weather patterns, and known aerial phenomena. When they report something unusual, their observations carry weight. There have been cases where pilots reported objects moving at speeds far beyond known aircraft capabilities. Objects that changed direction instantly, without slowing down. Objects that showed no visible engines, no wings, and no clear form of propulsion. In some cases, these objects were tracked simultaneously by radar systems, infrared sensors, and visual confirmation. This combination of evidence makes the encounters difficult to dismiss. Agencies associated with the Pentagon have acknowledged such incidents in official reports. These reports describe unidentified aerial phenomena that demonstrate unusual flight characteristics. Characteristics that do not match known aircraft or natural explanations. Again, this does not confirm extraterrestrial origin, but it confirms something equally important. There are things being observed that are not yet understood. One of the most notable aspects of these encounters is consistency. Different pilots, different locations, different times, yet similar descriptions. Objects with no visible propulsion, sudden acceleration, unpredictable movement. This pattern raises questions because patterns suggest something structured, something repeatable, and that leads to deeper investigation. In addition to military encounters, there are numerous reports from civilian pilots. Commercial airline crews have occasionally reported seeing unusual lights or objects at high altitudes. These encounters are often brief. Sometimes they are dismissed as atmospheric phenomena. Sometimes they remain unexplained. But when combined with other reports, they contribute to a larger picture. A picture that is still incomplete. Beyond the skies, there are encounters reported on the ground. Individuals in rural areas have described seeing objects hovering silently above fields. Lights that move without sound, shapes that appear solid, yet seem to vanish. In some cases, witnesses report electromagnetic interference, car engines stopping, electronic devices malfunctioning, signals being disrupted. These claims are difficult to verify, but they are repeated across different regions and cultures, and that repetition keeps the mystery alive. Now consider the role of technology. In the past, many sightings were based solely on human observation. Today, we have advanced tools, satellites, high-resolution cameras, tracking systems, and yet, the unknown persists. This raises an interesting point. Technology has improved our ability to observe, but it has not eliminated uncertainty. In fact, in some cases, it has revealed more complexity. For example, infrared footage released through official channels connected to the Pentagon has shown objects moving in ways that are difficult to explain. These recordings are analyzed carefully. Experts examine speed, temperature signatures, movement patterns, and still, questions remain. This is where scientific organizations like NASA play an important role. Their approach is grounded in data and analysis. They examine atmospheric conditions, sensor limitations, and known physical phenomena to rule out conventional explanations. Sometimes they find answers. Sometimes they do not. And when they do not, the case remains open. This is an important distinction. An unresolved case is not proof of something extraordinary. It is simply a recognition that more information is needed. But as more data is collected, the number of unexplained cases becomes harder to ignore. And this is where public interest grows, because humans are naturally curious. We want to understand. We want to know what lies beyond our current knowledge. This curiosity drives exploration. It drives science, and it drives the continued investigation into unidentified aerial phenomena. But beyond data and reports, there is the human experience. The moment when someone sees something they cannot explain. That moment is powerful. It creates a lasting impression. It raises questions that may never be fully answered. For some, it becomes a story they carry for life. For others, it becomes a mystery they continue to explore. And in many cases, it becomes a shared experience. Communities discussing sightings, researchers collecting accounts, experts analyzing patterns. This creates a global network of curiosity, a collective effort to understand the unknown. But with this curiosity comes responsibility, because speculation can easily turn into misinformation. It is important to separate what is known from what is assumed, to rely on evidence, to remain open, but critical. This is the balance that organizations, including those linked to the Pentagon, try to maintain. They investigate, they analyze, they report findings, but they avoid jumping to conclusions. Because in the absence of clear evidence, conclusions can be misleading. And in a topic as sensitive as this, accuracy matters. As we continue this journey, the mystery deepens. Because the more we observe, the more questions arise. What are these objects? Where do they come from? Why do they appear and disappear? Are they natural phenomena we do not yet understand? Are they advanced technologies? Or are they something entirely different? At this stage, the answers remain uncertain, but the search continues. And with each new report, each new observation, each new piece of data, we move one step closer to understanding, or perhaps one step deeper into the mystery. Because sometimes the pursuit of answers reveals just how much we still do not know. And in that realization lies the true wonder of exploration. The sky is no longer just a place we look at. It is a place we study, a place we question, a place that continues to surprise us. And somewhere within that vast expanse, the unknown still waits. The deeper we look into the unknown, the more complex it becomes, because not all encounters are the same. Some are brief glimpses, a flash of light, a distant object, a moment that disappears as quickly as it appears. But others are different. They last longer, they involve multiple witnesses, and they leave behind questions that are far more difficult to answer. These are the encounters that stay with people, the ones that blur the line between observation and experience. Across different parts of the world, there have been reports of close-range sightings, individuals describing objects that were not distant lights in the sky, but structured forms, shapes that appeared solid, controlled, and deliberate in movement. Some describe circular craft. Others mention triangular shapes. Some report glowing surfaces, while others describe metallic structures. The details vary, but the consistency lies in one thing: the certainty of the witness. Many of these individuals are not seeking attention. They do not present their stories as proof. They simply describe what they saw, often with hesitation, sometimes with doubt, but always with a sense of seriousness. And when multiple witnesses report similar experiences, the mystery deepens. In some cases, entire groups have observed the same phenomenon at the same time: lights moving in formation, objects hovering silently, sudden acceleration beyond anything familiar. These shared experiences are difficult to dismiss as individual misinterpretation. They suggest something observable, something external. But what that something is remains unknown. This is where psychology becomes an important part of the discussion. Human perception is powerful, but it is not perfect. Our brains interpret information based on past experiences, expectations, and environmental factors. Under certain conditions, Ordinary phenomena can appear extraordinary. Light reflections, atmospheric distortions, or even high-altitude aircraft can sometimes create illusions. This is why scientific investigation is essential, because understanding what we see requires more than observation. It requires analysis. Researchers examine witness reports, compare details, and look for patterns. They analyze environmental conditions, technological factors, and human perception. Sometimes they find explanations, other times they do not. And when explanations are not found, the case remains open. This does not mean the event is supernatural. It means it is unresolved. But unresolved cases are important because they highlight the limits of our current understanding, and they push us to explore further. Now consider the role of official investigations. Programs associated with the Pentagon have reviewed numerous cases involving unidentified aerial phenomena. Their approach is methodical. They collect data from multiple sources. They analyze sensor recordings. They interview witnesses, and then they categorize the findings. Some cases are explained. Others remain unidentified. But what makes these investigations significant is not just the findings, but the acknowledgement. The acknowledgement that not everything observed can currently be explained. This represents a shift in how such phenomena are treated, from dismissal to investigation, from speculation to analysis. And this shift opens the door to deeper exploration. At the same time, scientific institutions like NASA continue to emphasize a data-driven approach. Their focus is not on extraordinary claims. It is on measurable evidence. They analyze atmospheric data, sensor accuracy, and physical laws to determine what is possible and what is not. This scientific grounding is essential because it keeps the investigation anchored in reality. It prevents assumptions from turning into conclusions, and it ensures that any discovery, if made, is based on evidence. But even with this structured approach, the unknown remains. And that is what makes this subject so compelling, because it exists at the edge of knowledge. Now let's explore another dimension: the impact of these encounters on individuals. For many witnesses, the experience is not just about what they saw. It is about how it made them feel: confusion, curiosity, a sense of awe, and sometimes fear. Because encountering something unexplained can be unsettling. It challenges our understanding of reality. It forces us to question what we know. And in some cases, it changes how we see the world. This psychological impact is real. It is studied, and it is taken seriously. Because understanding human response is just as important as understanding the phenomenon itself. Now consider this. What if the unknown is not a single explanation, but multiple possibilities? Some sightings may be natural phenomena, some may be technological, some may be misinterpretations, and some may remain unexplained for now. This layered reality makes the subject complex. It resists simple answers. It requires patience, and it demands careful investigation, because the goal is not to prove a theory. The goal is to understand the truth, and truth, especially in matters like this, is rarely simple. As research continues, more data is collected, more reports are analyzed, more patterns are identified, and slowly, the picture becomes clearer. Not complete, but clearer. Each piece of information adds to the puzzle. Each investigation refines our understanding, and each unanswered question pushes us forward. Because that is how knowledge evolves, step by step, question by question, discovery by discovery. And in this process, the unknown is not something to fear. It is something to explore, because every mystery holds the potential for understanding, and every unanswered question is an opportunity to learn, to discover, to expand the boundaries of human knowledge. As we move toward the final part of this journey, one thing becomes certain: the story of alien encounters is not just about what might be out there. It is about how we respond to the unknown, how we investigate it, how we interpret it, and how we continue to search for answers, even when those answers remain just out of reach. Because in the vastness of the universe and the depth of human curiosity, the journey of discovery never truly ends. Because in the end, this is not just a story about alien encounters. It is a story about humanity, our curiosity, our courage to explore the unknown, and our endless pursuit of understanding. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest discovery is not what we find out there, but what we learn about ourselves along the way.